Well, it's surely an honor to be here, and I really appreciate Barry and the others from the Chamber having me to this really fantastic event. You've got a huge crowd here tonight. And I want to thank Barry and all the members of the Virginia Chamber Board. I had the privilege of serving on that board a long, long time ago, and it was really a lot of fun, great opportunity to meet a lot of interesting people and to travel all over this great Commonwealth. And so I salute you members of the board and thank you for the effort that you put into it. And it's also great to be with so many members of the Virginia General Assembly. I think I saw Senator McDougal around and Senator Saslaw. It's always great to be here with you. Dick is one of my very favorites, and I really don't tell my primary opponent that, but he's a good friend, as are all of the members from the legislature that are here tonight. I'm honored also to be with so many Virginia leaders in industry and education. Glenn, it's great to see you, and I really appreciate all that you do for our Virginia community college system. And Martin Briley, President and CEO of the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, and one of my very favorite people I've known for a long, long time, Bobby Kilberg, President and CEO of the Northern Virginia Technology Council. It's great to be with each of you. And I know I speak for every member of the General Assembly, either here tonight or not, when I say how much we appreciate the work that the Chamber and its members do. I really do believe that the Chamber is one of the very prominent reasons of why Virginia is such a great place in which to do business. Growing our economy and making the Commonwealth a better place in which to live and work is one of the top parts of our legislative agenda each and every year. And we count on the Chamber, and we count the Chamber as being the voice of business when we craft these policies. We depend upon you. The input they provide, that you all provide, is invaluable. You are the experts. You understand the issues. And when we hear from you, it helps us to do a better job. Barry Duvall and his leadership over the past several years have increased, this is a very interesting statistic to me, have increased the membership of the Chamber from about 1,000 member companies in 2010 to over 22,000 today. That's a huge jump. And you must be making a ton of money. What is this fork doing up here? Your strength comes through your numbers, and it makes you a very effective advocate for the issues that the business community is putting forward. So I want to thank each and every one of you who are taking part in the Chamber. Thank you for the work that this organization does. I truly appreciate the relationship that we have with Virginia's business community. I can't speak for the Senate, wouldn't pretend to, but the House of Delegates has worked very hard to be a leading advocate for business in Virginia, as is the Senate, I suppose. We know that you create the jobs. You grow the economy. And frankly, our job is to stay out of the way. And we've tried very hard to do that. This is a figure which I recently came across, which impresses me. Since 2003, we have defeated, people lots of times talk about what did you do for us today, and a lot of what we do for you is not to pass things. We have defeated over $30 billion in tax increases on family and businesses since 2003. And working very closely with the Chamber, we've saved businesses and their employees over $9 billion in regulatory cost just in the last 3 years. We've also tried to make strategic investments in the core functions of government. Transportation funding is obviously very huge to our long-term economic growth. And the funding piece is important, but the reforms that we've made over the last 2 years, I think, are equally, if not more, important. In 2013, I think everybody in here is aware, We passed a transportation bill with strong bipartisan, bicameral support. Could not have done it without both parties in the House, could not have done it without the cooperation in the Senate. And we passed a very important piece of legislation that provided about $1 billion a year in additional funding for transportation, but I think equally important, moved us away from our reliance on a gasoline tax. In 2014, we passed House Bill 2 that was sponsored by Delegate Stolley from Virginia Beach. And that's just a wonderful bill because it puts measuring projects into an equation so that we look at every project that's proposed, and through a system of quantifiable metrics, we're able to determine which is the priority project and which is the lesser priority. I think that's a very significant piece of legislation. And this past year, as I'm sure many of you are aware, Chris Jones, House Bill 1887, basically streamlines the funding sources to make sure that we're sending more money back to the localities for investment in transportation rather than decisions being made at the central level. So I think in 2013 we did a lot to increase the funding, but I think in 14 and 15 we've determined how we're going to spend that money to make sure that it's spent in the most effective, most efficient way. In addition, we've done a lot, not nearly enough, but we've done a lot on higher education and workforce development, major priorities. And over the last 4 years, we've invested significantly in allowing and requiring states to take more in-state tuition, create more in-state tuition slots. And we have promoted advanced manufacturing and with private sector collaboration at CCAM and the project in Prince George County. I think that's tremendously important to look at the way that we create apprentice schools, the way that we do exactly what Dr. Templin was talking about. It's a huge opportunity for us. 2015 was a successful and productive legislation period. We finished a day early. Hadn't been done in a long time. Seems like a small accomplishment, but it's huge when you think about the dysfunction right across the river. We finished the budget conference early, thanks to Senator Sasslaw and others on the conference committee. We adopted, I think, a very conservative, fiscally responsible budget. We're actually spending about $1 billion less this year than we had proposed to spend in the budget adopted in 2014. We are prepaying the rainy day fund deposit that's due in the next biennium. And we continue to invest in our teachers and education. We also continue to work on issues that matter to most of our families and to business leaders like each of you. We've reformed our standards of learning in K through 12 education. We took a big step last year, and we are continuing to work this year. I think this is a great initiative. We're providing funding for 2 new veteran care centers, one in Hampton Roads and one here in Northern Virginia. Legislation to make college expenses more affordable by cutting down on things like athletic fees and promoting affordable 4-year degree programs was accomplished. And we're trying to continue to protect our business climate. We defeated efforts to raise the minimum wage, which I believe harms our economy and businesses. And the House passed legislation to hold down labor costs by prohibiting prevailing wage laws as well as local wage floors. Unfortunately, the governor didn't see it the way we did and vetoed that legislation, but we'll be back. I think we made progress on charter schools and the right to work through the promotion of constitutional amendments. 2015 was a very productive session, and I think it captures so much of what we've been trying to do in the legislature over the past several years. Again, we're very grateful for what each of you all do. We appreciate the relationship that we have with the business community, and we want to continue it and to strengthen it. Dr. Templin pointed out much more in a much more articulate fashion than I possibly could, but Virginia does face unique challenges in the years ahead. But I think by working together, we can solve these problems, and I'm confident we can do it. thank you for having me tonight. Thank you for this.